Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Anugo of New Home Sales. I am your host today, Sarah Williams, and I'm the Director of Sales at Anugo. And today I'm very excited to introduce my friend and my mentor, Myers Barnes. This is his second visit on our show, so we're so excited. Welcome, Myers.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
For those of you that don't know Myers, Myers is a sales leader, an author, a trainer, and a consultant in our new homes industry. Very focused on, I would say, operation and sales. Just so everyone's aware, he holds the top spot for most downloaded episodes of the Anugo podcast. So I have a lot of pressure today to make this either number one or number two. I'll take either spot. So everybody better be downloading this, so there's no pressure at all for either one of us. But before we dive into our topics today, Myers, can you give those that don't know who you are a little bit about you and your business?
Well, I'm a new home sales educator, have been for quite a while now. Well, I don't think people know how long we've known each other either, on top of that. And you've watched my career and I've watched your career, but I've done this for quite a while. I spent my life in it, in new home sales, my entire working life in new home sales, because I was a general contractor before that, which is a little twist. I'm the only new home sales educator that has both a broker's license and a general contractor's license.
That's amazing.
So I kind of understand the business. When you say operations, I get the operations part of it as well. And, when you go in on a company, 99% of the time you're working on both.
I want to talk about how I know you.
Okay.
So you had just mentioned we've known each other for a long time. So going back, and you and I were trying to figure out how long it's been. And I think it was 2009-ish, when times were similar to today. I'll say that. I was working for a mid-sized builder in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania called Heartland Homes. And back then they were privately owned. Now they're a publicly traded company. But I had just come out of working as an on-site agent, and I was working as a marketing coordinator and an OSC. And we had a couple sales trainers in my past. I had been there for like 3 or 4 years prior. And then we brought in Myers Barnes in 2009. And holy smokes, what a change from anyone else we had prior. Not only did I go through as an OSC, we had marketing go through your program, and we had executive sales leaders and sales reps go through your program. You came in and did, I think, a 1 or 2 day, at least one full day with those of us that were like selling. And I think you had a leadership day as well. But after Myers left, we had courses we were taking. I'm probably going to get all the terminology wrong. Myers will probably smack me, but we had courses and tests. We could take the tests weekly, orally or physically. And if we didn't get a 90%, I'm probably reminding you of this, Myers, 90% or above, we were going to lose our job. Talk about pressure, right? I had a new baby at home. We were going through this. And during 2009, my livelihood, everything depended. I couldn't lose my job. The economy was definitely not in good shape. So let's just say no one on our team got below a 90%. Everybody crushed those tests and crushed our course with Myers Barnes. And I can tell you, we crushed our competition. And we also took our fair share of the market during that time. And I made an incredible I made an incredible income during that downturn. So I'm doing air quotes for those of you not seeing me. During one of the hardest economic downturns, I was thriving in my career. And so was every other salesperson. So that's going back, 14-ish years. Those sales folks that I was on the team with at Heartland Homes that went through Myers program are still doing phenomenal in their sales careers. So Myers has played a huge part. I'm a walking testimonial. I tell them that all the time for my whole new home sales career, but it was a huge turning point for me, who I was before I went through that training and who I was after. And we did not participate in the recession. How's the market? The market's great. Like all of those things, I still remember 15 years later that you do not participate, as an employee, as someone that's selling homes, in whatever the news is telling people. So Myers, on that note, I just went on but I have to paint the picture, right? Because we were so committed to your program, hence why there was that caveat of, we're not going to keep anyone that's not committed to this program. You're going to leave the company. You're not going to make it here. But how's it going now? How's the market, Myers? I'll just say.
I think the market's actually good. You talk about 2007, 8, 9, 10 even, because it didn't start turning again until 11, and it was a slow turn. But Yeah, that was a bad market. That was the worst of the worst. And y'all did thrive during that market, to your credit. But is it bad now? No, I don't think it's bad. I think it just takes essential selling skills. Those that understand that sales is a process and have a process are succeeding. Those that don't have a process or never had to work and study, they're going to struggle, because you've got to study right now. I mean, you've got to reinvent. For anything to change, something has to change. And things don't change, you change. Circumstances aren't negative, you're negative. It's all in the mindset here of how you're going to be in a thrival mode, not a survival mode, but a thrival mode. So we're fortunate. We get to work with a lot of companies, and I don't know. I just don't think it's a bad market if you understand two critical things, or three actually. But first critical component is this: do you understand finance? People talk about, people might pause, and I'd go, why would they pause? Because they're uncertain.
You mean the salespeople are pausing, or
No,
the shopper?
Buyer will tell you that.
Buyer.
They're pausing, but they're out there. The first thing you do, have to wrap it around though, is the mindset. Every statistic says this. Some Blue Tangerine just put it out, and they said that the buyer spends 3 to 12 months researching before they come in. 3 to 12 months. Okay. And Google says 75% of buyers spend up to 1 full year researching before they ever walk in a door. So anybody that walks in a door, whether it's a walk-in, whether it's an appointment from an OSC, whether it's with a realtor, if they're walking in that door, 100% they're buying. 100% they're looking to you to help them navigate finances. Houses are more expensive, but I know that there's been price cuts and so forth with it, and we're adjusting a little bit downward, but that's one of the reasons they're pausing. They're thinking that the prices are going to fall. They're pausing, hoping that the interest rates are going to fall, and they're not. Here's what it is. Why did we sell so much 2 years in a row? Because we had that COVID bump, okay? And then everybody swarmed in the door. But, it's like a young lady I was working with this past week with, she's got a 2.25% interest rate. How hard was that to sell?
Not hard at all. Yeah.
It's only 2%. The money was free then. Wow, if you got a 5 or 6% inflationary rate and you can get it at 2, you're beating inflation. So it just sold, everything sold. But here's what happened. The downside of it is a lot of people that are highly experienced started taking it for granted, thinking this is going to go on and on and on. And you can't. You got to go with Newton's law. What goes up must eventually what? Come down.
Right.
Now it's got to go back up, and it will go back up, because this isn't the first, little recession that we've had, in home selling. So it's going to go back up. But anybody now today that walks in a model, I don't care how they got there, by foot, by an OSC or by a realtor, they wouldn't come in unless they were there to buy. They would just
agree.
be on the sidelines. So are they going to buy from you, or are they going to buy from someone else? Well, then that's a second critical skill, is we know that finance is one. And we also know that demonstration is a lost art. Most people have never had to demonstrate a home. I mean, truly demonstrate it, and point to what we call differential demonstration, not what makes you better. You don't ever want to strive to be better. You want to strive to be different. That's how Apple founded it. Think different.
Right.
That's what they did. They changed all the rules, because they thought different. They didn't want to be perceived as better. They just wanted to be perceived, we're a different company. And that's what you're trying to do with your home. This is a different home than what you're looking at outside.
Like apples to oranges versus apples to apples. Is that what you would? Yeah.
Don't try to compete. Just show why you're different. What makes you different. And those are the lost arts. But finance is a biggie right now, because people pause for one thing, and it is fear. It's just fear. Uncertainty is the best word for it. They're uncertain. Is this the right time? I'm here. I want to do it, but I'm uncertain. Why? Because I don't know about the finance. I don't know how to make it work. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I can afford it. I don't know where it's going. And so, you got to look at it like a major and a minor. Your major is new home sales. You have to study the profession. Okay. You have to have a process. You have to be able to demonstrate. But your minor is finance. So you got to have a major in new home sales, but you got to have a minor in finance. And, you can't keep sending people away all the time. You send them away, then they pause, and then they go into another model home.
Well, you have to say what would be sending away would be, oh, let me get you in touch with my mortgage consultant. They'll handle that part, right? Which is what everyone, I would say, I hate to say everybody, but a lot of salespeople were trained to do or just did. We'll move you over here until you talk to someone, and I'm going to keep talking to these people. Now you can't send them away. You have to keep them with you, explain to them the finances so you can get them further along before they actually get talk to a consultant. Would you agree with that? I mean, if you send them away, someone that's better at finance is going to sell that home.
Someone that's better in finance, or someone that can get them emotionally excited, or someone that's going to put them with something. But here's what I got to give credit to this. Matt Riley did this. See this? $34.
So everyone, that's a calculator that
it's a $34 calculator called Calculated Industries. It's a real estate master. And what you can do is quick pre-qualify buyer. In 2 minutes, you can pre-qualify them and say, this is how much home you can afford. Why? You just got to figure out their debt to income ratio. How much money do you guys make? Well, we make 90,000. Okay. Plug in 30% of 90,000, there's a house payment.
Right. And that's a real estate calculator that I know I had to get when I went through real estate school, but not every state requires you to go through the school that I went through, but I would recommend everyone get a real estate calculator. Yeah. Or is that what that is?
Yeah. For the tech people, they're going, well, we've got a mortgage app. And I'd go,
which we do. It's not the same. Yeah.
It's not handy. It's just not handy. I'm talking about on the fly, and it's going to pre-qualify somebody. And you can. So you go, okay, there's your debt to income ratio. That's a payment. Then you just reverse engineer it. And this is how much home you can afford. And let's just start looking at stuff. All right. But you can get that out of the way very quickly, with that.
And I would say the way that we sold in that I've sold it this whole time, but during that period of time, the really hard times, we always brought it back down to payment because we were competing with renting, whether it's a first-time home buyer, whatever it may be. It was the payment a month. If you can get the payment a month right there, you're going to be able to, as long as they qualified for the house, you're going to be able to sell that house. But you had to show them what their payment was going to be.
Yeah. No, you're not trying to supplement or get rid of the loan officer, but you do have to have a general parameter for what you're even going to show. Because you can miss-show. I've got a $500,000 home here, but I'm going to go show them 750. And you go, why? They pre-qualify.
You lose them. Yeah.
Or conversely, you're showing them 500 when you should be showing them 750.
Right.
So
it's so important. It's so important because you'll lose somebody. Well, one, if you confuse them, if you're a little bit unsure, you're going to lose them. You have to be certain. You have to be confident, which means Myers practice, right? That was a big thing when I went through your training is the practice, and you need to practice and role play before you get in front of that buyer. Because if you're shaky, buyers smell that. They're like, I don't know because it's about trust, right? It comes back down to the trust. If they don't believe you, they don't trust you, and then you just lost them right there.
Well, and like you said, confuse. Nikki Joy said to confuse them is to lose them. So you don't want to confused, and you don't want to be sending them away. This is a practice, watch this, of a good time when you were probably even told and trained, just get them to the mortgage lender. You just do your deal. Well, you're sending them away. You can give them a general parameter and make sure that they're going to be picking from that general parameter. And then if they're still hesitant, you can get them to the mortgage lender. But I would still say this, you go for the close based on that first visit. And you go, why? Because I just got the biggest hurdle out of the way. What's it going to cost? And it's not what it cost. What's your monthly payment going to be?
Right.
Because here's the deal. If you could live in a $2 million home for $1,500 a month, would you do it?
Absolutely.
So you don't care about the cost. You just care about the payment.
I care about, I might be paying this for the next 100 years, but I'll probably sell it before then anyway. That's the whole thing. You're going to sell it before most likely it's paid off.
So
for a lot of Americans. Yeah.
it's not a shift in the market because you used to have to do this stuff. It's just, they talk about old school, new school. What's old school? What's new school? And I go, how about graduate school? Let's talk about graduate school now. And you go, be able to discuss finance and then be sure aligned with a banker that is highly creative and understands the mortgage buy downs and understands everything that they can do. And you don't always have to have a certain amount to put down because some mortgage lenders can get really creative with the amount that you have to put down. And I just say we could go on. If this was a live seminar, I'd show you how to work all this and do it, but just get this little calculator. And again, you can figure your debt to income and then you reverse engineer it and there's a payment. You go, how's that work for you? And you could write them subject to, send them away. But if you have to the mortgage lender, we go, yeah, but we've already picked this. Let's just prepare the paperwork subject to you're qualified with the banker.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would say too, when you meet someone or OSCs, if they're listening, if you're meeting someone, you ask if they've been pre-qualified. Don't hold it up because they haven't been. But if they have, then you follow up with what were you pre-qualified for, monthly payment or total price. So then again, you can move them in the right direction because if we already, and make sure the salesperson knows all this information before they sit down with them. That's always was an important question for me as an OSC to make sure I asked those questions, but I didn't make it a necessity in order for them to move on to the appointment. But that really helped move all of this along so much faster. So we could close on the first appointment. Everyone felt great. We could just keep things moving versus like we're talking about, if you meet someone, they've never talked to a mortgage lender, you have to know what you're talking about and you have to be confident and you cannot confuse them.
Weak OSC don't take part in the sale at all. A strong OSC understands all this. How long were you in OSC?
6 years.
6 years.
But I sold houses in the model homes before I became an OSC. So I knew how to sell a house, but then I knew like what that salesperson would need when I became an OSC, what would move it along.
It's unfathomable to me that builders don't have an OSC. Unfathomable.
That's a whole nother podcast for another day, Mars, because you know how strong I feel about it. Yeah.
It's unfathomable. It's unfathomable tool that a builder wouldn't have digital tools to be selling with, because they make decisions before they even walk in the model. If you've got the right digital tools in place.
Right. They print out what they want and they show up and say, I want to buy this. Right.
Pretty
So,
much.
well, and we'll get into that. If pricing, I feel really strongly about adding your pricing to your website at minimum base pricing. But if you want to take that whole next level, adding option pricing for those DIYers, those folks that don't want to pick up the phone and do not want to talk to someone, as you and I both know those people, Myers. There's people that don't want to talk to people. So you might never even get them to your model home if you don't have some of this stuff visible. So at minimum base pricing, but if you really want to give the people what they want, give them some option pricing too. Not all of it, but a good bit of it.
Here's a story about uncertainty. There's a little over 300 million people in this country. Okay. You know that 111 million people drive drunk every day.
How many?
111 million. 1/3 of the population, watch this, a little yellow line separating you, hurling down the road at 65 miles an hour. And 1/3 of the people are intoxicated. You should be uncertain about driving, but not about this market. Remember, if you're uncertain, they're uncertain. You've got to be the one that's providing the certainty to them. And that's what your presentation and your process does, is provide certainty that they know you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about. You're the assistant buyer, is a sales pro. So we got the finance, but then the other lost art is demonstration. And I'm talking about true differential demonstration, where you're able to have a very structured, if you will, and I hate to use the word because people get so upset when you say this word, script, but it's got to be a highly polished, highly scripted presentation. And y'all beat the market with scripts in 2009.
I will say, because I interview a lot of sales trainers, I know a lot of sales trainers. We beat the market with scripts. We did. I mean, I literally, if I pulled it out, I probably could regurgitate if I just saw the first couple lines, because that's how often we practice them. And it came from practice. I was able to make it my own, Myers,
Yeah,
because of, right? You
yeah, but
have to
all
be
we did
able
was
to,
give you a template. I just
but
said,
I had no idea where, this is what was really important to me. And then I want to hear about differential, is that I was selling for years before I met you,
uh-huh.
right? And I was okay, right? I'll say that. I was okay. I was okay. Great, never, I don't think was the word. Potential for sure, but with the right training and the right tools, which were the scripts and the timing, that is what changed me. I will tell you, that is what leveled me to, like, moved me up and moved so many people that I worked with up, because there's that shakiness, and it was about being timed and being confident what you're going to say. If they say this, you're going to say this. This is the direction you're going to take them. As I memorized it, I was able to make it my own. It was a dance. It became, in my mind, it was a choreographed dance. And it
That's,
was so natural. And we beat the market with that.
well, that's who's beating the market right now. Those that have that understand the finance, and those that can demonstrate their homes and show the difference between them. Why is this a good market for builders too? Because there's no inventory available at most places. The used home inventory is skinny. Builders are providing the inventory today. If you think this is hard, it's not. It's just a shift in mindset that it's a great market. It's a great time to be involved, great time to be selling. But that's the rule though. You actually have to sell today. We didn't have to
Right.
sell. We had the biggest market in 51 years. Biggest market in 51 years, just what, a year ago.
I know, I should have been selling homes during that market.
No, I mean, 51 years, it was the biggest market. Not only that, we had the lowest interest rates in 51 years. How hard was it to sell?
I bought a house. It was amazing. Free money. It was.
So now you just look at it and you just go, this isn't a bad market. Situations don't improve, you have to improve. Circumstances will change, you change. And you got to change something.
So talk to us about differential demonstration. We talked a little bit earlier about how we're different, not how you're going to compete, but how you're different. I remember what we did, but talk to me about what direction are you taking your builders? If they do that, like if the competitors are showing this, you do this, or talk to us about how you kind of approach this.
You just show what you have, because no one else is showing what they have. And you talk about that which no one else is talking about. Like here, very simple graphic. I don't know if you can see it. It's a home, yeah. 26 points of what's behind the walls. And that's important because people can look at, well, it's got siding, and it's got drywall, and it's got paint, but that's about it. They're just looking at eye candy. Does that make sense? But you got to talk about what's behind the walls.
And why should they care is the bigger thing. Like, because what's behind the walls, and why should this shopper care what's behind the walls? In my opinion,
the little graphic of the home has 26 touch points, and it talks about 12-inch overhangs. Big deal with it. This builder uses vinyl siding, and you can say, well, I don't really like vinyl siding. And I'd go, there's a difference in vinyl siding. They use the thickest vinyl siding that's made, so it never warps or waves or does anything.
You don't have to get it painted like hardy board, which is what my house has.
Hey, I've got engineered wood on my home with it, but I'm just talking about what they do. They use the Ring doorbell. Okay, that's a big deal, having the Ring doorbell. They have package deliveries where there's 2 doors, where you actually go into a little, you hear about porch thieves, they take packages and stuff. No, you open up the front door, and it's not really a front door. It's just a little cubby, like, if you will. And then you go into the home and you can drop your packages off or have them dropped off. How they're sealing the houses, how they blow in the insulation, all the good stuff that makes a big difference for people, in their decision. And then they get the graphic, it's handed to them and say, take this with you. If they don't buy, they're going to be hard pressed not to ask the other builders what's behind their walls. You think any other salesperson can explain it?
I would say no. And the story, package thieves, package deliverers, everyone, the Ring doorbell, all of that, you could tell a story, or you tell them a little bit of a story that they've all heard a story that goes along with these features, but you have to remind them why they're important. So when they show up at the next, if they go to the competitor, they are the emotional attachments to those stories that they're like, well, I need that. I need to have this because this could happen. Or
Well, it's not just that. You got to point out what's on the outside, type of siding that we use, the low E windows,
right.
all the great things that go with it. 16-inch on spacing between studs, versus 24. All walls are insulated, interior and exterior, for soundproofing. It's just amazing features that they put into this home here. And this is New Home Inc. in Raleigh that's doing all
We
these.
love them there.
They're great company, man. Great company, great leadership. But you're demonstrating everything. But are you demonstrating, or are you just letting them just kind of walk through on their own? Are you pointing out what's unique about you? And even if you've got the same stuff as another builder, guess what? They're not showing it.
Right. So from when I sold houses, you had the easy way to beat your competition is they had the salesperson that would just sit behind the desk, let the person walk on their own. Or if you walk through, and even if someone's like, they might want to walk on their own, say, before I let you on your own, I would love to point out a couple key things that makes us, Myers, in your words, different. Dun, 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 dun. Then you can let them, if that's the type of person they want and they kind of want to scoot on their own. But you need to have a conversation and point out those things that are different before you let someone just loose.
Well, what
Yeah.
I teach now is this, and just say this to them. 2 ways you can view the home. 1, you can do it on your own. 2, I can spend 10 seconds with you. You don't tell them 10 minutes or 20 minutes. I can spend
10 seconds
with you and show you what the included features are, and what instruments that we have, and I can give you some cost and all of that. But, do you want me to just run you through for 10 seconds and point what's included in this home? And they always say, what? Sure.
Yes.
So you gain commitment on that, in the beginning. So, but you demonstrate the exterior, you demonstrate the interior, and there's a story behind everything. Again, you don't have to say you're superior. You don't have to say you're better. Just go, why we're different. And those are the arts. But we said there's 3 components, right? 3 components to this game today. Obviously, technology is a big component, huge component.
I agree.
Well, technology is a huge component because we know, watch this, if they're spending, either 3 to 12 months, 75%, spend up to a year researching, they're coming in pretty well through a digital avenue. It's safe to say today, when they say 98% of people start online before they ever start on site, it's safe to say now it's 100% of everybody. I don't care about your age demographic. I don't care about anything. You're starting online before you come on site. So do you have the tools to digitally sell? And if you don't have the right tools to digitally sell, man, you're missing, because they say people that can build a home, watch this, people that can build a home, or at least I don't care whether it's a low tech thing like a Matterport tour, not the high tech stuff that y'all are doing. But if people can visually see the home and walk themselves through a home and see what's there, that 35% will buy on the first visit. Think about that, 35% of buyers.
It's a big deal.
So it's a tech game too, so old school, new school, demonstration, old school, still going on. Finance, old school, tech, new school. So you're the tech expert. You talk about it.
Well, thank you, Myers. The tech part of it, I mean, we already talked about pricing and showing pricing visibility that at the minimum, right? Base pricing. So someone doesn't want to feel silly talking to an OSC or whoever answers the phone at the company. But even demonstration, you talked about, you could literally be a sales rep demonstrating a home digitally. If in fact, and you and I have talked about this, if your company's fortunate enough to have invested in the tools, there's so many different layers to digital tools. It could be as simple as an interactive site map, interactive floor plans. I spoke at IBS this year. I did a survey of the room. There was 3 people that raised their hand in this full room that had interactive floor plans. So if your company has, that's a differentiator already. You could promote the fact that you have interactive floor plans, and you can use that as a sales tool, because guaranteed your competitor down the street does not have it. If you haven't invested in interactive floor plans, mean, they've been around for almost 10 years. They are mainstream now, even though the room that I had only had 2 people. I was floored because I was about to present so many more fancy tools to the room, and so many people had not even invested in that. But when we're talking about Matterport, gosh, Myers, when you go into Zillow and any marketplace, they are the ones that get the most clicks. So if you're a new build and a builder, we have 3D here at Anugo. We do 3D tours that literally you can change the options and upgrades. Think about how many more upgrades and options you could sell, one, if they're sitting on your website, but even in your, if you're touring them, Myers, in the sales office, and you pull it up and show them, well, this model is demonstrated with no sunroom, but let me show you what the sunroom would look like on this house. You pull up a 3D tour, and here's the sunroom and everything that changes when you get the sunroom. Things like that is a huge deal. So when we're talking about demonstration, it could be someone sitting on their couch alone at night shopping for your homes in California or across the country, or it could be actually inside of your sales center as an additional sales tool that really helps drive it home of what you offer in the different ways that you offer it. So lots of ways you can use digital tools for demonstration.
Super
What's
important,
that?
because studies have been done. How do people make a buying decision? 89% of believability is what they see. 10% is what they hear. 1% goes to the side, to touch, taste, and smell. Okay, 5 senses. That's how we do it. But 89% of believability is what they see. If they see enough good stuff before they walk in, they're more apt to buy.
And potentially sell more, right? So if you only show a home one way, but you're a builder and you offer it lots of different ways, how often do you just sell it the way that you built it, whether it's the model home? Because that's what the certainty comes in, right? Getting back to, they feel certain about what it's going to look like, and they know it's going to look nice because they got to see it. Well, if you can give them tools that they can configure the home in the way that would actually work the best for them, whether that's online or, again, in a sales office, you can have digital tools that really help get the home exactly the way we want. They're not going to go look for a resale home that fits their needs better, that you're showing them all the different configurations and they feel certain about it. It's really impactful. We've seen, New Home Inc. is one of our clients. We have so many clients that have so many success stories about how fast the process is going because they have these tools. Zillow just put out their study for 2023. And I don't have the percentages. If you guys need a copy of it, I'm happy to send it to you. But it's literally that how many more homes and how much faster they buy because they could see it. And again, it could be Matterport, it could be a 3D tour. I'm even talking about like stage photography. Like if you have an empty room is not going to say anything. You could stage new construction. There's so many tools out there, us included here at Anugo, that you could put some furniture in a room to really help someone understand how it lives. There's a lot of digital tools that we could talk about. We're not going to use this podcast for that, but to really create the certainty and to demonstrate how the house can sell. So it's the way that people are buying right now. It's not a future. It's not the way of the future. It's happening right now.
We can walk through this, but is it a bad market? No, it's a different market. So if it's a different market, you got to do different things, and the difference between 2 or 3 years ago was you didn't have to talk about finance. The money was so easy to get. Anybody could qualify. It was so darn easy to buy, but we're no longer in the days of 30 backup offers. But you don't need 30 backup offers. You just need to follow a process. And that's another question. Do you have a sales process? Do you have a digital process? And you match the two together and you're destined for success. If you don't try to match the tech though, because that's how they're first coming in, boy, it's a blind ride walking into that model. And so that's where the demonstration has to come in. But even if they've looked at it first, we still demonstrate.
I agree.
Talk about
if they show up in your sales center, they've got questions, and sometimes they show up with the brochure, I want to buy this. But there's always, you still need to drive home why you're different. So there's no questions or uncertainty. Again, you really want to drive home like what makes you different. So they're like so confident in making that purchase.
So I think those are the 3 keys right now that I see that, builders are incorporating that are succeeding massively, regardless of what's going on. finance, and we haven't even talked about incentives or promotions or anything like that. We haven't really talked about interest rate buy downs, there's so many tools, but really the three main core ones are digital, demonstration, and actually finance. Those are the things that you need to have at a minimum if you want to beat the market like a drum.
I agree. Well, I'm so happy that I got to talk with you. I mean, it's after 15 years, this is like a pinch me moment that I get to host you on a podcast after all these years. And I'm lucky to call you a friend as well.
Yes,
I love talking to you, and you're a coach in my life, coaching me through, I'm still in sales. I'm an active salesperson. So I eat up sales information just like anybody else. A main thing that you talked about, and you talked about at the beginning, is about mindset. And it's overcoming any of the garbage that we read or we see on TV, or we might see an article online, and it's feeding yourself with, it's not a bad market. It's the only, Myers, something you've said many times, it's the only market we have. It's a great market, right? So this is our market. How do we sell in this? If this objection comes, and guys, we all know what objections we're going to get. Being prepared. So it's a choreographed dance. They've all been huge things in my life to get through, and you have to practice. It's the practice part of it. I know that's not the glamorous part of sales, but if you want to make the paychecks that you've been making or you're used to making, that you have to get back and start practicing. And because all of those old skill sets are a little rusty, because the selling was not as, we didn't really have to tap into all of the arsenal that we all have been carrying all these years, in my opinion. So it's time. If you haven't done it, it's time. Or it's time to hang up your hat, in my opinion. You're gonna have to bow out, because this is not the time to go in cruise control.
No cruise control on this one. This is a very intentional market. So what are you doing to get better? Because again, things don't get better, you get better. And better isn't something you wish for. Better is what you become. Correct. So are you becoming? Because if you're not very becoming, you're not very becoming. So are you becoming? So get better, but you got to get better, and you initiate it, with better. But I appreciate the opportunity.
And don't wait for your builder to do it. Go out and read and watch and if you're listening to this podcast, we appreciate it, because that is a step in betterment, right? But there's so many tools out there. Myers Barnes, follow him on Facebook. Myers, where else can someone reach you if they're trying to get in touch with you? I mean, I know where to find you, but I want you to tell everybody all the channels that they can tap into your resources.
You can go to the website, of course. You can here's an email, MBA@Myers, MYERSBARNES.com.
Fantastic.
I'll answer it personally.
I love it. Myers has YouTube videos. 108. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, depending on I don't know. I don't think you have a TikTok. Do you, Myers?
No.
All right. I didn't think I saw you on TikTok. I have never posted on TikTok.
You don't want to get me politically going in the wrong direction. Okay.
I have a TikTok, but to be fair, I've never posted on TikTok. That could be one of my 2023 goals. But I've been following Myers, as I've already kind of told everybody earlier. It's changed my life. You've changed my life, Myers.
Thank you.
You still do. I feel blessed that I get to get injected. I call it an injection in the arm every time I get to spend time with you. You fire me up. Your energy. I could tell story after story of how many people in my life that you've changed personally through their experiences with you. So I appreciate you. I'm so glad that our audience has gotten to hear for the second time on our show. So thank you.
Well, I hope this has the same results as the first one, but it's always fun, and I appreciate you. So we'll be circling back in another conversation, because we do talk. The audience does that. But again, great show. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Okay, talk to you.